Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life. I feel alive when I got a goal in sight. Chip away, I gotta fight. Ain't nobody else in sight. Man, I think I see the light. Yeah, that shit is so bright. Follow me, I got the guide. See you on the other side, son. Ain't nobody know what I've been through.
What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC Vegas 81 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, October 14, 2023, out of the UFC Apex. It's a classic UFC Apex card. I think, obviously, the biggest fight here is Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. The rest of the fights, I think, are good, but I'm looking forward to that one the most. We'll see if I can bounce back on this one, and let's go ahead and jump right into the first fight. In the first fight on the main card, we have Christian Rodriguez, 9-1, taking on Cameron Saaiman, 9-0, in a bantamweight bout. So when you look at both guys' records, I think what you can really get is Christian Rodriguez is more of a decision kind of guy. Whether he wins or loses, he does have that submission over Joshua Weems via anaconda choke in the very first round. But I still don't think he's going to be able to do that consistently. It's not like he's offensively trying to take every, because I think he could have finished Raul Rosas Jr. if he was like a submission kind of guy who's looking for the kill, because there were moments where, I mean, he defended 13 takedowns out of 16. There was moments where Rosas Jr. just, he was super gassed out or whatnot. And I think Rodriguez, if he really wanted to finish him, I feel like he could have. For Cameron Saaiman, he's coming into this fight with 3 wins inside the UFC and then 1 win on Dana White Contender Series. He's more of a finisher, KO TKO. He did go to a majority decision, which I think would have been probably a unanimous decision against Martinez if it wasn't for the point deduction. So he looks pretty good. I think he's more of a finisher, in my opinion, on the feet. Cameron Saaiman seems to be a little bit more aggressive. Probably has a speed advantage on the feet, and then just being the guy who's trying to put together more combinations. Whereas Christian Rodriguez, he might shoot him for a takedown here. He has been taken down. Both guys have been taken down. You had Cameron Saaiman get taken down by Steven Kozlov in his first fight 5 times. And then you had Christian Rodriguez get taken down by Jonathan Pierce in his loss inside the UFC via decision 6 times. So both guys can probably land their takedown when they're in certain situations. And then both guys can obviously be taken down by just a better wrestler. The fight against Raul Rosas Jr. mainly showed to me that Rodriguez is going to have the cardio to kind of do a lot of things and still be in the fight, even if it gets to the 3rd round. But the thing is Raul Rosas Jr. wasn't threatening with any sort of aggression outside of like wrestling aggression. He wasn't tagging him up, throwing together combinations, giving him different, head kicking him. And that's the thing with Cameron Saaiman is like, he's going to come at him and he's going to try to be aggressive. And I think he might not really fear getting taken down or getting into that kind of grappling exchange, because he can probably, honestly, both guys wrestling might negate each other. Who knows? Right now, you had Cameron Saaiman credited with more takedowns, but who knows? On the feet, though, that's where the fight starts. If Cameron Saaiman goes across, starts lighting him up, maybe that first round's a little bit of a feel out, right? Maybe Saaiman's not trying to too aggressive, he doesn't want to rush in, get caught or anything like that, or dive in for a sloppy takedown. Then you have Christian Rodriguez pulling for maybe a submission. That could always happen. So maybe that first round's a little bit of feel out, and then you have that second round, Saaiman starts to put together more combinations, get more violent, get more aggressive, and that's when you start to see him stringing together some things. I think this would be a pretty good fight to open up the main card, but for me, I'm going to go Cameron Saaiman to defeat Christian Rodriguez. I'll take him to win by round 2, KO TKO. In the second fight on the main card, we have Edgar Cháirez, 10-5, taking on Daniel Lacerda, 11-5, in a catchweight bout. So obviously controversy in the first fight, whether or not Lacerda was out. The ref didn't really give him more. I think he probably should have checked his arm a little bit better and really made sure this dude was out. But unfortunately, it just looked bad. So they run it back. Initially had Edgar Cháirez beating him via submission in the very first round at 347. Really wasn't too much to the fight. I think you still had Lacerda looking very wild. When you look at his record, he's 0-4 in the UFC. Unfortunate loss against CJ Vergara because he literally dropped him twice, was on his way to beating him up, and then ends up getting finished because he starts gassing out and he gets a little bit crazy. For me, I would look for Lacerda here to test the wrestling to the grappling, at least on the floor defensively, for Cháirez, because we've seen him be taken down. He got taken down 3 times in his first fight in Dana White Contender Series, and then in his first fight in UFC, he gets taken down twice. Maybe test it, see what you can do, see if you can get him down, slow the fight down. But Lacerda, I feel like, is one of those guys who could be winning a fight and then he starts getting too excited, and then next thing you know, he's just throwing the fight because he goes for he dives in for a takedown when he's like hurting the guy, and then Cháirez pulls a guillotine on him. Like, it could be things like that, or Lacerda just starts swinging like a spinning elbow and trips, like, and then next thing you know, Cháirez jumps on him and chokes him out. I think Cháirez has pretty good leg kicks. That's something to look out here for. But overall, I think on the feet, Lacerda is going to be the one to be the more aggressive guy, trying to get into his face, throwing together combinations. And Lacerda can definitely do that if he pressures him and all that. But can he do that throughout the fight and not end up in a position where Cháirez is submitting him again? Because I think Cháirez is definitely going to be looking for those submissions. He's going to be looking to take advantage of moments where Lacerda gets just too aggressive, too crazy. And if both of these guys are tired, I still would have to go with Edgar Cháirez on this one. Even though he has been taken down and lost via decision, I still think Lacerda is like a wild card to me. It's like, yeah, he could go out here and annihilate Edgar Cháirez on the feet, but he could also try and do that and then just make a horrible mistake and end up being submitted again. So it's one of those fights that anytime I feel like you have a fight with controversy, the next fight is pretty not too much controversy. It's like, oh, okay, that guy probably would have won regardless. So for me, I'm going to try not to think about it too much. And, I think unless Cháirez gets taken down 5 times, for example, for a decision victory, then maybe he could lose. But I just don't feel like Daniel Lacerda is going to even attempt to do that. He's not going to just take him down and play it safe. He's going to go out there. He's going to try to finish him. But I'm looking for Edgar Cháirez to kind of stay calm within that chaos, counter maybe, and then just look for those moments where Lacerda makes a mistake, try to wrap up a submission and get him out of there. So I'm going to go Edgar Cháirez to defeat Daniel Lacerda. I'll take him to win by round 2 submission. In the third fight on the main card, we have Andre Petroski, 10-2, taking on Michel Pereira, 28-11, 2-0 contest in a middleweight bout. So Michel Pereira, unfortunately, in his last one, he was supposed to be taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but he ends up missing weight. He loses a big opportunity in that one, and so now he gets Petroski. And when you look at someone like Andre Petroski, he's one of these guys he's got power, right? He could obviously pull off a submission if he's taking you down. But at the same time, defensively too, I guess. But Petroski is one of those guys who he's not necessarily stringing together combinations on the feet. Like, he'll throw some pretty big hooks, maybe some overhands. But for the most part, he probably wants to get you to the floor, right? We've seen him take down Wellington Turman 8 times. He's pretty adamant on getting you to the ground and pulling off a decision victory. Like, I think against Gerald Meerschaert, it would have been nice for him to get that finish, whether it was a KOTK or whatever. I think he needed to get that win there. For Michel Pereira, he's coming into this one with a win over Santiago Ponzinibbio in a really good back and forth fight. He wins that fight via split decision. Before that, he takes on Andre Fialho. He gets that one a unanimous decision. And then before that, against Nico Price, unanimous decision. Now, Pereira can also wrestle to grapple as well. He's not going to go in, I think, for like 10 takedowns. But at the same time, he can probably reverse some positions if Petroski gets a little bit tired or whatnot. And that's something here where Michel Pereira, I think, just needs to survive a little bit, take it into that third round. And then from there, if Petroski's getting a little bit tired, Pereira's still giving him a lot of looks, still giving him a lot of attack, pressing forward, just staying in his face. Maybe he's trying to throw a spinning back fist, just making the fight a little bit more ugly. Petroski's going to resort to diving in for that takedown. And I think those are going to be the moments where Michel Pereira is going to try to get that submission victory. But I think it comes late because early on, Petroski, yeah, he could definitely clip Pereira, but I just don't see that happening because I think for Michel Pereira, he's got a lot of movement, right? So he's not going to just stand there and get taken down. I think he's going to make Petroski chase him, which could also lead to Pereira setting him up maybe for like a flying knee like we saw in his very first fight. He's definitely going to be on more of a counter kind of vibe. And then, you know, if Petroski gets tired because he's in a war, goes in for that takedown, I could see Michel Pereira getting that submission victory, maybe like a guillotine or something like that. So for me, I'm going to go Michel Pereira to defeat Andre Petroski. I'll take him to win by submission in round number 3. In the fourth fight on the main card, we have Jonathan Martinez, 18-4, taking on Adrian Yanez, 16-4 in a bantamweight bout. So this is going to be a really exciting fight. People's main event. Everyone's looking forward to it. You know, I'm looking forward to it. So this one is going to be a banger. So you have Jonathan Martinez coming into this one with a win over Said Nurmagomedov via unanimous decision in a fight where he does get taken down 3 times, but he defends 6 takedowns. And I think he really just made it difficult for Said Nurmagomedov to get into his game and get that grappling going, get that wrestling going, getting that. He just kept getting back up. So even when he did get taken down, nothing really happened and he got back up. On top of that as well, just we all know paying that dividend with those leg kicks as the fight goes on just makes it very difficult. So I think more than anything, like Jonathan Martinez's ability to get back up and not really have any damage done to him and still chop away at the legs, you know, have some combinations here and there. I think that really made him look good in that fight. And Said Nurmagomedov, pretty tough opponent. Before that, he defeats Cub Swanson, KO TKO, basically chomps out his legs eventually. Good win for him there. Against Vince Morales, he gets unanimous decision. Against Alejandro Perez, unanimous decision. And then decision, loses to Davey Grant, KO TKO. That's a little bit concerning because obviously we saw Adrian Yanez and Davey Grant go head to head, and that was a pretty competitive fight. And then you just keep going far back, decision, KO TKO. So he's had some losses inside of the UFC. He's been in the UFC since 2018, but I think in his past 5 fights, he's definitely got a lot better. For Adrian Yanez, he's coming off his first loss against Rob Font in a fight, honestly, where he just got into a gunfight and it just wasn't his day. There are moments in his fights, though, that I will say where he definitely eats some returning shots when he gets a little bit wild. He strings together really nice combinations, mixes up to the body. Like, it looks really good, but then coming out of the exchanges, he definitely can eat some shots. We saw it against Davey Grant. And that's like my concern a little bit against Randy Costa. Even he does win those fights, but you know, that win against Davey Grant was a split decision victory. So, you know, another judge thought that Davey Grant won the fight, but it's a little bit of a scary thing here because I think Jonathan Martinez with that leg kick, he's obviously going to be going for it. And so really Adrian Yanez is going to have to counter off that leg kick, defend it, check it, do something. But if he's not checking it, right, then he's only going to have a limited amount of time before he starts to lose a part of his body to damage. And then that's when Martinez might be able to mix in, maybe try to go for some grappling. Yanez has 100% takedown defense, but when your legs kind of giving out, I don't really see it going into moments of grappling. If anything, maybe up against the fence, but I don't really see like Yanez getting completely taken down and held down. And I really, you know, obviously I don't see Martinez getting taken down in this one too. So on the feet, it's just that having that dangerous weapon. And then at the same time, Yanez could be thinking like, okay, I'm going to have to check these leg kicks, right? And so if he goes in there and underestimates Martinez in the other aspects on the feet, like as far as his combinations, his timing, all that, then you have Yanez could end up in a situation like he did against Ralph Font, where he goes in super aggressive, gets right, I'm going to get him. And then next thing you know, Martinez is able to counter him with a big shot, boom, rocks him, puts him down or whatever. And then that could be an interesting thing. I think Yanez is very tough, though. I mean, he really, against Rob Font, he kind of made a commitment somewhere in there. I'm going to either take him out or I'm going out. And so he ended up going out, but he made that commitment. Because when you see him in some of the other fights, like he's not staying in the pocket, just trading like that. I mean, even against Davy Grant, there were moments where he traded, but he kind of like stepped back and reset. And then, okay, you know, against Rob Font, they just went at it and it was just a matter of whoever's going to get knocked down. So I think he doesn't do that here, right? I think he does try to keep it a little bit. I mean, he's definitely going to have his moments where he tries to light him up to the body, do all that. But damn, I just feel like if you underestimate Jonathan Martinez here, you know, you're like, oh, all he's got is a leg kick. Yanez might be in for a little bit of a surprise just because Martinez could counter him when he comes in. And that leg kick, man, it's more of time, right? It's like he's gonna land it, and he could go to the body too, right? It's not just like the leg kick is very dangerous, but Martinez could start attacking the body, and that could definitely hurt him. So we have to really see how Yanez is going to be able to deal with that. I do expect Adrian Yanez though to come out a little bit more like technical, like not get into those exchanges, but he's definitely going to get clipped, man. He's going to eat some shots if he gets crazy again. It's just a matter of whether or not Yanez can break him down and put him down or just beat him up for 3 rounds. I don't really see Yanez beating him up for 3 rounds. I just don't really see that necessarily. I could see Yanez getting a finish maybe, but man, I think both guys are pretty tough. I know Martinez, like I said, did get finished by Davy Grant, but 2021, I mean, he's had 5 fights since then, and he's a tough dude. So, and I really think for Martinez, his last one against Nurmagomedov really showed that, like, okay, like he's pretty good. And even the Cub Swanson one, like I know Cub Swanson isn't necessarily beating everyone or whatever, but more of a veteran in the game. It's definitely a good win to have if you want to break into that next tier of people. So I think this is going to be a close one. Maybe Yanez lights him up, breaks him down, but I think Martinez is going to be able to give him a lot. Slowly start breaking Yanez down with that leg kick, counter with the left hand. Maybe has moments where he controls him up against the fence because of the grappling. Could be, who knows. So I'm going to go Jonathan Martinez on this one. I'm actually going to take him to defeat Adrian Yanez by decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Jennifer Maia, 21-9-1, taking on Viviane Araujo, 11-5 in a women's flyweight bout. So you have Maia coming in with a win over Casey O'Neill, Marina Moroz, via unanimous decision, and in both of those fights she pulls over 100 significant strikes. So I think she's definitely could be one of these fighters that's a volume fighter. She absorbs more strikes though than she lands, so that could be a little bit of a something. She definitely will go back and forth with her opponent. Against Manon Fiorot, she was able to get a unanimous decision loss. She gets taken down 2 times in that one and then gets outstruck. Against Caitlin Chukagian, she gets outstruck in that one, loses a unanimous decision. Against Jessica Ai, she's able to get taken down in that one. Close significant strikes landed, but again, loses a unanimous decision. Valentina Shevchenko, she's fought the champ before, loses that one, unanimous decision, gets taken out 5 times. And she's kind of either won, lost by decision. She has 1 win over Joanne Wood via submission, but for the most part, she either loses or wins by a submission. I mean, by a decision. And she does have some pretty good volume. I think she's going to be a little bit more technical in this fight. I think she definitely can be the one throwing together the combinations, making everything look fluent and all that. She's not necessarily, you know, she's not knocking anyone out, so she doesn't have the power, but she can definitely tag you up, pitter patter, all that stuff, and maybe throw in a takedown here and there. For Viviane Araujo, she's coming to this one with a loss over Amanda Ribas. She lost via unanimous decision. She gets taken out twice in that one. Against Alexa Grasso, she gets outstruck. She lands 2 takedowns, but she still gets outstruck, loses a unanimous decision. She wins over Andrea Lee, unanimous decision, and then gets 3 takedowns on that one. Loses to Caitlin Chukagian, outstruck, decision. Again, another one of these fighters that outside of her first fight, every fight's either won or lost by a decision. So I think it's safe to say, unless someone makes a big mistake here, this one is probably going to go to a decision. Now, it could be a close decision, but I think if it goes all 3 rounds, Jennifer Maia, she's going to be having the better volume, cleaner shots throughout the fight, not trying to just sacrifice a position. Like, I don't think she's going to dive in for a takedown or anything like that, because Araujo is definitely probably the one that could, we've seen her threaten was going for those submissions, whether it's defensively or offensively. So for the most part, I think Maia just needs to keep the fight standing, and then it will just be a matter of lighting her up. Because, I mean, when you looked at the fight, Araujo against Ribas, like, Ribas was beating her to the punch a lot. She was jabbing her to death. Araujo didn't really have really good head movement or anything like that. And that's another thing that Maia, I think she's just going to have better head movement. She's going to be able to have a little bit better defense. I know that her strikes absorbed is a little bit more than her landed. But if you look at Araujo, it's even more, right? So, yeah, I think Maia, as long as she has pretty good head movement, if she can just have movement in general, a lot of the bouncing around, counter a little bit, put up the good volume, win a decision, I mean, that's pretty much what I think she can do. Now, she just has to be careful of like getting taken down and all that. But I think, again, as the fight goes on, if she's tagging up Araujo doesn't really get her head off that center. I mean, it's pretty much there. You could just jab her. She's not moving around too much. Maybe that's because she's trying to just close that distance, get a hold of you, see if she can take you down, see if she can get you in a position of problems. But yeah, Maia's not going to be one to just sit back and like, she's not going to just sit back and do nothing. So I'm going to go Jennifer Maia to defeat Viviane Araujo by decision. In the main event of the evening, we have Sodiq Yusuff, the Prediction King, 13-2, taking on Edson Barboza, 23-11 in a featherweight bout. So Yusuff is obviously going to give up a little bit of a, I think, just a size and reach advantage. Nothing crazy. Like, it's not, I don't think it's going to be too much of a thing. 75-inch reach advantage for Barboza, and then 71 for Yusuff, so a 4-inch reach advantage. Mainly, in my opinion, it's going to come down to like the kicks, right? Barboza likes to go for those kicks, very fast twitch. He has a pretty good jab, but I would say for the most part, like, not a guy you want to just let it. You know, Barboza, if he's kicking you, it's not going to be a good night if you're not doing anything about it. For Sodiq Yusuff, he has been taken down before. He has he landed a takedown against Cháirez. I think this is a fight where if he's not a wrestler, he needs to see if he can maybe go for a takedown, right? I think we kind of know how Edson Barboza can be beat. It's through pressure. It's through just smothering him, giving him no space, just giving him anything, getting the takedown, clinching with him, draining his energy, and just not giving him any space to start working those kicks and just the spinning attacks. And you can't sit in the middle of the octagon with him and expect anything good to happen. Like, you really have to shut this guy down with pressure. Just give him something. And so for Sodiq Yusuff, I think he's capable of doing that. Now, I think for the most part, he probably is a little bit one of these fighters that isn't going to go in for like 40 takedowns, right? He only has 0.18 takedown average. So it's not like he's going to be shooting in for 10 takedowns, but he might shoot in for 2 because he knows that Edson Barboza, if he can control him on the floor, he can probably tire him out a little bit. Yusuff obviously is not going to have to deal with getting taken down himself. Pressure needed, cut off the octagon. He doesn't want to get into a striking exchange with him. I think if Yusuff is getting into the striking exchanges, it needs to be in close. Maybe it's in the clinch. He just needs to kind of fight his way in close. And even if he's striking, he just has to do everything in close. Yeah, just drain him. Drain Barboza till he gets to a point where he starts to look a little bit tired. And over the course of 5 rounds, I don't know if Barboza... Yeah, I don't think if Barboza loses, it's gonna be by a 5-round decision. I think if Sodiq Yusuff is winning, he's gonna be able to put him away somewhere in there, maybe the 3rd, 4th round. And then obviously for Barboza, I think if he's winning, I mean, he's got to take him out in that like the 1st or 2nd round. So yeah, for Barboza, we know what he needs to do to win. It's like, but you look at the fight against Billy Quarantillo in his last fight, right? You look at Edson Barboza, and he just lands that knee out of nowhere and just kills him. Like, that was crazy. So Yusuff has to be careful. Sodiq Yusuff has to be careful. He has to be patient. He But at the same time, he needs to be working to like draining Barboza, giving him no space. You really have to just shut him down, man. Give him no space, shut him down. But be careful, because you want to dive in on a flying knee. It's not going to be a good night. So I'm going to go Sodiq Yusuff. You know, I'm actually going to take him to win by. I was going to take him to win by decision until I realized, I mean, Edson Barboza isn't really losing any fight by decision. That's a 5-round fight, because he'll probably be finished by then. So, yeah, I'm going to go to Sodiq Yusuff to defeat Edson Barboza. I'll take him to win by KO TKO in round number 3. And so that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 81 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, October 14th, 2023, out of the UFC Apex. Let me know who you think is going to win, Sodiq Yusuff, Edson Barboza. Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.